As a part of the Summer 24 release, Salesforce has introduced a new feature called Evaluate Dynamic Formulas in Apex. This feature is in beta. This has a great potential to remove the clutter of formula fields from your objects as well as streamline the complex implementation where you had to implement formula-like logic in Apex. In today's session, we'll learn all about it. So without further delay, let's get started. Here is a simple example to demonstrate how to work with dynamic formulas in Apex. First, you need to create an instance of formula instance. For that, you need to use formula class. There are three key set of information that you need to pass here. First is the type. Type can be S-object or it could be a wrapper class. In this example, we are passing student underscore underscore C, which is nothing but a custom object that we have created in the org. Second is the return type. You can pass any return type that you could select while creating a Salesforce standard formula field. Here we are passing string. And third and last is the actual formula itself. Here we are concatenating the first name and last name of the record creator. You need to make sure that all the fields which are referenced in the formula are available in the record on which you want to evaluate the formula. In order to evaluate the formula, you need to call evaluate method on the formula instance. Here we are calling evaluate method on the formula instance and then we are passing the record. This is going to do its magic and it's going to return the result. The type of the result is going to be object. Since we have mentioned the return type as string, we can typecast, or I would say safely typecast, into string. And then we are just printing the result. Let's see what happens once we run this code. You can see here that it has printed the result and it has printed Kiran Machewar as the output. This is because the record creator is Kiran Machewar. Let's see what happens if there is a problem with the formula. Let's purposefully misspell the field name. Before I run this code, let me just clear the console. Now you can see there is an exception and the type of the exception is formula validation exception and it gives the information about what is wrong with the formula. It is not able to recognize the first name text. So make sure that while working with dynamic formulas in Apex, you are doing proper exception handling. Either you are showing this message to the user so that user can correct the formula, or you are logging this information that can be helpful for the debugging purpose. Next, we are going to see how we can make use of dynamic formulas in Apex to create a lightning component to get rid of some of the formula clutter that we usually create on the objects. Imagine you have an object and there is a birth rate field on it, and you are tasked with the requirement to show age on the detail page. That age has no use on the list views or reports or anywhere else. It's just needed on the detail page. One way to solve this requirement is to create a custom formula field and drag that age field on the detail page. Or you can make use of Dynamics Formula Eval in Apex and create a generic LWC component to solve this requirement. I have did the same here. Let's see how that would look. First, we will edit this page in the app builder. We'll drag the dynamic Apex formula field that we have created. We'll label it as age. And here is the formula that helps to calculate the age. Let me just copy it and paste it in the formula part. Once you do that, let me just go to the detail page of the student. Now you can see we are showing age without even creating the formula field. Think about the number of formula fields that you can save on any object with this approach without even losing the customization ability. you would be still able to use all the formula aspects. You just need to pass that formula and configure that in the detail page or app builder page. Let's see how we have built this custom component. Here is the code for that component. There are few properties, record ID. This gets automatically added by the detail page. Then formula string and the label, these needs to be configured when we are configuring this component on the detail page. And then we have a result. This is where we are storing the result and showing it on the UI. You would notice that we are calling an Apex method evaluate formula, which is from the class Dynamic Apex Formula Service. We are passing two parameters, formula string and the record ID. Let's see what goes into this method. In this method, we are creating formula instance, and for that we are passing as object that we are deriving from the record ID. We are setting the return type as string and the formula that we have got it as a parameter. As we had discussed before, we need to make sure all the reference fields needs to be queried and should be available in the record on which we want to evaluate the formula. For that, Salesforce has given a really handy method on the formula instance named as getReferenceField. This gives you the set of fields which are referenced in this formula. With the help of that, I have created a dynamic query and retrieved all the data needed to evaluate this formula. Once we evaluated the formula, then we just return the result to the client and client is displaying it on the UI. A question that needs to be answered is why to use dynamic formulas in Apex where we can simply create multiple formula fields and use it on the objects. First of all, there is a limit on number of fields that you can create on the object. Formula fields provide great flexibility, and because of that flexibility, developers and admins tend to create multiple formula fields, and even sometimes when those are not necessary. By making use of dynamic formulas, we can minimize number of formula fields needed on the objects. It will help to improve the performance. And then it can help to enable generic implementation. Oftentimes, ISV developers had to write complex Apex logic just to simulate formula-like behavior. With this feature, they can streamline that implementation. There are few considerations that needs to be kept in mind while working with dynamic formulas in Apex. Dynamic formulas are also subjected to same set of limits as standard formulas, for example 3900 character limit. In case of standard formulas, compilation happens at the time of configuration. So when you are configuring the standard formula, then if there is any problem in the formula, then you won't be able to save that formula. However, in case of dynamic formulas, you will not know that problem at the time of writing the code or saving the code itself. Such compilation problem occurs only when you are running that formula. So make sure you have a proper exception handling for that. All the fields which are referenced in the dynamic formulas needs to be available on the record on which you want to run the formula. That concludes our dynamic formulas in Apex. I hope you learned something new. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.